Trump says he is pissed off at Putin, his words, by the way, for criticizing Zelensky's credibility. Trump also threatened to impose stiff tariffs on Russian oil. He told NBC News, and I'm quoting now, "If Russia and I are unable to make a deal on stopping the bloodshed in Ukraine, and if I think it was Russia's fault, which it might not be, but if I think it was Russia's fault, I'm going to put secondary tariffs on oil, on all oil coming out of Russia. That would be that if you buy oil from Russia, you can't do business in the United States. There will be a 25% tariff on all oil, a 25 to 50-point tariff on all oil," end quote. Whoa. Joining me now, retired Force Guard General Jack Keane. Sir, will the threat of these tariffs bring Putin to the negotiating table?
I don't think in of themselves, Stuart, and here's a couple things I think are happening here. One, it just shows the world, and also President Trump understood this going in, how difficult it is to get a peace agreement unless both sides really want it. There's no doubt that Zelensky wants a deal here to stop the killing. It's always been a question mark whether Putin was serious about negotiations. We've said this time and time again. And our negotiating team had those skepticisms about it. Now the president has it. And what he's not saying, I think, is what he realizes is Putin is gaming him, right out of the Russian playbook, like he has done in the past. So what's Putin's motivation then, even in having these talks, if he's not serious? Well, there's a couple things. One, he's been an international pariah for 3 years, labeled a war criminal, no one really wanting to associate with him except the axis of nations that are supporting him. And this gives him legitimacy on a world stage to be talking to the leader of the world in President Trump. He is known throughout the world as the world's global leader. And that gives him credibility at home and also in the minds of dealing with his adversaries. So I think that's one of the reasons he's in this thing. The second thing, he's really trying to see if he can get some major concessions from the administration that would make a deal very attractive to him. In other words, that where Ukraine is left very vulnerable. I think the negotiations his people have taken part in with our United States negotiating team have given him the impression that's likely not going to happen. The United States is not going to fold their hand in supporting Ukraine. They want Ukraine to be treated fairly here, and they don't want Ukraine to be in a very vulnerable situation as a result of it. Now to the sanctions. I don't believe, Stuart, that Putin is all that intimidated with sanctions. He has been involved in sanctions for years and years. He knows it takes a while for it to take effect, and he knows there's ways around it. And he has done that very successfully. What would intimidate him is upgunning the situation militarily in Ukraine, because that makes a difference, an immediate difference on the battlefield, and starts to turn things around and stops the advance that they're making. As slow as it still is an advance. So I think if you added that to the dimension, you're going to get maybe Putin to come to the table. The good news is we're recognizing, and he's stalling and delaying, and he's manipulating us, and we're going to have to do something to get him to the negotiating table, even if that's successful remains to be seen.
J.D. Vance says Denmark has failed to keep Greenland safe. Roll tape.
The message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. That has to change. And because it hasn't changed, this is why President Trump's policy in Greenland is what it is. We do not think that military force is ever going to be necessary. We think this makes sense. And because we think the people of Greenland are rational and good, we think we're going to be able to cut a deal, Donald Trump style, to ensure the security of this territory, but also the United States of America.
Would military force ever be on the table when it comes to Greenland? President Trump has said it's not off the table.
Well, I think that's a negotiating ploy, I would imagine. I think using military force to take a country like that that's an independent country by the United States, we've never done that in our history. I don't think we're going to start now. But I do believe this, And I had the opportunity to discuss this with the president because he asked me about it prior to the inauguration. What do you think about Greenland? And my answer was, well, it is a serious national security issue. We have a vested interest in it, given its strategic location and the fact that the navigation routes are opening up because the ice is melting. And it's incredibly more significant than what it has been in the past. And I think we've got to work a deal out here of mutual national security interests for ourselves and also for Greenland. And obviously we invest in them. Hopefully we can make a deal.
Okay. Retired 4-star General Jack Keane, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us today. See you again soon, sir. Thank you.